Hi guys, Hari here, casting the semifinals of the Prodota2 North American qualifier for the 20,000. Well, technically, all these teams, or both these teams, are actually in the non-pro league now for 10,000, and then the winner of this will go on to face the opposing, the other team. I don't know who it'll be yet in the finals to get a chance to compete in the Prodota 2. Kind of a little redundant in that regard, but actual league for 20,000. Anyway, this is Hari, casting for DotaLive.net. You can follow us on Twitch TV/DotaLive, and with me is actually none other than the organizer of this whole great event, Gino himself.
Hey, what's up, guys? Here just casting, watching these things. Big fan of this game. Big fan of everything. So we're just looking at this ban phase now and seeing a profit come out of here for the dire side.
Yeah, pretty much the standard bans we would expect to see at this point, and we should actually expect to see a good game. For those who've been watching from the beginning today, we've had some pretty one-sided ones, but both these teams are pretty high skill level, so shouldn't be too much of a skill difference here. Oh. And anyway, yeah, for those people who don't know, the two teams are J4S on the Radiant and skill difference on the Dire. Skill difference, also known as DDT, the team named after the captain for his narcissistic ways. So we see the Darkseer ban here. Maybe a slightly less common ban, not always needing to be banned, but it's going to put the Dire in a difficult position here, whether they want to ban the Windrunner or the Tide, or maybe just leave both of them, because if you ban one of them, you're just going to give your opposing team the other, and you're not going to get anything out of the deal. So if I was them, I wouldn't be banning either of those. I would ban probably something else, but we'll have to see how they... No, they do ban the Tide, so it's going to be an insta-pick Windrunner for the Radiant here. And I'll have to see if there's something the Dire gets out of this that they're happy with. Maybe Leshrac, Queen of Pain, or something like that. I mean, both of those are kind of top-tier heroes at this point as well. Maybe Leshrac, Sand King, if they just want to set up the lane already. A lot of possibilities at this point. And actually an Earthshaker Venno. So that's a little bit unusual, but with how quickly they pick those heroes, I'm pretty certain that that indicates that they have some sort of strategy specifically suited that they want to run using these heroes. I mean, both of these heroes are very good against the Windrunner. If you end up setting up a tri-lane with Earthshaker, Venomancer, and some carry, the Fisher obviously can block the Windrunner, and obviously once you level 2 with Venomancer, if you can get both slows on the Windrunner, she's not really going anywhere even when she pops Windrun. So I mean, there could be that, and it could be something else. I mean, just maybe their comfortability with playing these heroes and some sort of a setup that they want to do with that. Maybe Gino will have a little bit more insight on that, knowing these teams a little bit better than I do.
I actually don't know too much about the J4S team. From what I saw from the games, it looked like they like Morphling a lot. Skill difference is actually, like I said before, they are a prominent team in the Sunday Evening Cup Series. They've actually been in the final part of it, where they actually narrowly lost to the It's Gosu team that ended up taking second place in that tournament. They're also in Dota Brawl. They were actually trying to qualify for the Gosu League, I think it was, and some of the other tournaments that are around. So we do see a Leshrac coming out here from, and a Crystal Maiden coming out from the Radiant team.
Yeah, Leshrac is another one of those really top-tier heroes at this point. Just with how pushy the metagame is right now, his ability to literally kill a tower in like 10 seconds is pretty insane. Coupled with a really nice AoE stun, which is something you're always... I mean, having more stuns on your team is always better. And the fact that he scales quite well in the mid-game once he gets that BKB, yeah, makes him a very safe pick, kind of like the Windrunner type hero, where, like, you know, because you can put him in support if you really need to, although it's not ideal. You can put him in a mid lane, you can put him farming in the tri-lane, like, he works so well, and actually a Pugna pick. So that's a bit unusual, but it's extremely effective against a Leshrac. Obviously, Leshrac uses a lot of mana and has a lot of high mana spells. So the Pugna ward is very strong there, and it's pretty strong against the Queen of Pain too, who presumably these days is going to go for a sort of spammy build. And instant anti-mage ban, actually, so I guess they're afraid. I mean, when the opposing team has an Earthshaker, you can't really match tri-lanes against them, so they didn't want to have to deal with, you know, an Earthshaker Venno tri-lane top with the anti-mage, which they wouldn't really be able to contest. Although they do have Leshrac already, so they certainly have the pushing power. I mean, they could have picked up an Enchantress and, like, Shadow Shaman and had, you know, Enchantress CM, or CM Leshrac bottom with the Enchantress in the woods. Windrunner top and Shadow Shaman mid. That still would have been pretty effective against an AM pick, so I'm not sure the AM ban was completely necessary, but it could just be a hero they just don't like having in the games. They'd rather play a real game than an anti-mage game, because anti-mage really just distorts the games he's in. And actually just banning out all the carries here, I mean, they understand that the Dire still needs some sort of carry at this point, so you can take out the Riki as well. Basically, the two top-tierist heroes, and Riki... quite effective against... Oh, and actually the Morphling ban comes out. So DDT does know exactly what it is that J4S likes to run here, really preferring the Morphling play. And especially with those bans, I mean, you could debate back and forth all day whether Anti-Mage or Morphling, which one counters which. People say Morphling counters Anti-Mage because you can make an Anti-Mage and have him burn the mana. People say Anti-Mage counters Morphling because you burn all the Morphling's mana and then he can't escape or morph. But regardless, Riki is definitely a counter to morph. So I guess with those two heroes banned, they thought that there's too great of a possibility of that Windrunner or that Morphling pick. And especially with the CM, I mean, you could still set up the dual lane mid, Morphling with CM. So just didn't want to let any of those shenanigans happen and take out the Morphling.
You know, I can see why the instant anti-mage ban actually did happen. It's because when the Pugna is picked, they have the Nether Ward, right? So when the Nether Ward happens, it actually sucks down some of the mana. So what they were thinking was, if the Pugna is picked, they're going to try to go for the anti-mage next so that he can actually just use that mana void and just chase down all those heroes, because without mana, all those heroes are just giant creeps, essentially. And I think that's why they decided to instantly ban anti-mage. But we do see a Broodmother actually coming out here as well.
Yeah, I mean, that makes the Sand King ban make a lot more sense. Obviously banning out the Sand King, who's a very strong counter to the Brood, and then taking the Brood themselves. And especially after the Mirana pick, they're not really well set up to grab something like Slardar or Gondar, which is typically something you would use to counter. I mean, there's kind of two ways of countering Brood. One is with like Tide or Sand King, which you just have something that kills off the Spiderlings. The other is to obviously have something which sees invis, like the Slardar or the Gondar. But after the Mirana pick, after having picked up their carry, they're not really in a good position to grab one of those heroes. So, I mean, they could still, in theory, set up like Windrunner supporting or Leshrac supporting, and then have Mirana solo and grab Gondar or Slardar. And you can always have Gondar solo a side lane if you have to, but I don't think either of that's going to happen. I think they'll probably grab... if I had to guess, I don't know, it's tough to say. Whether they'll put the Leshrac mid? I mean, I think they're really taking a lot of time here, so they definitely don't know what they want. Since they can't pick Morphling, this team just doesn't know where to go from there. And we're going to see time's run out, and they do grab the Enigma, so I guess they're kind of confident in their lanes already having the, like I was talking about. Well, I don't know. We'll see whether actually they put the Mirana in the side lane with the CM in support or the Leshrac in the side lane with CM in support. But I would imagine, regardless, that the Enigma is most likely going into the jungle, because they don't really have any good tri-lane setup. Oh, wow. Sniper pick.
Okay, so what they're going to do is probably use that Assassinate to stop the channeling of that Enigma Black Hole, but it also picks up a lot of those squishy heroes like the CM and the Leshrac. The other thing is, I think the Radiant has made it really obvious that they're going to be going for a push strat, while on the Dire side, it actually looks like they have the answer to it, essentially.
Yeah, well, they've got good anti-push. No, very good anti-push, and then they've got great counter-push as well with the Brood in the side lane. So yeah, that's a very good point. They will be pretty well set up to face this kind of push lineup. Yeah, and the Sniper obviously is also one of the few heroes in the game who actually can break, because the Assassinate, I don't believe mini stuns through BKB, but his passive actually will mini stun through BKB, I believe. So can actually, even if the Enigma gets a BKB, if he gets lucky enough, just attacking him fast enough, should be able to break out the Black Hole even later in the game, should the game go late. So we've got the Enigma, yeah, basically just getting clarities and sentries, so he is definitely going in the jungle. We might be seeing dual lane mid here, actually, with the CM Leshrac. They ran a CM Tide mid, I believe, 2 games ago. So they do like the dual lane mid, certainly, and I guess with you got a lot of nice range on your abilities with CM and Leshrac. Both have good range on their stuns, so a possibility of setting something up there. And actually, the Sniper's already up top. He's just not even bothering to go down here and roam. And actually, yeah, he dropped the Wraith Band. I wanted to talk about it. Kind of a typical thing these days is to give your carry a Wraithman, or let him pick up a Wraithman if you can, and then give him a regen, or if you're a melee carry, let him buy the Poor Man's Shield right away, and then give him regen. So in this case, he has the Wraithman because, you know, Sniper has amazing, amazing attack animation, but really poor base damage. So getting an item like that early on, which is going to give him, you know, +9 damage for last hitting is really going to be important for him getting his early farm up, and they are going to set the tri line up top with him. So, I mean, the Dire definitely, well, with that Sniper, I mean, Sniper's a questionable hero in general, but should give them a better late game than the Radiant. So if they can just farm him up effectively up there, and the Brood will have an easy enough time, I think, staying in the lane. I mean, Enigma does have those sentries, which I assume will probably be used to come, I mean, for counter warding, A, and B for spotting out the Brood. And actually, speaking of counter warding, I want to talk about I've mentioned this in basically every one of my casts where I see someone do it because it's just important enough that I emphasize this to anyone who doesn't know about it. If you come down and look at where the bottom ward is placed from the Dire, that spot is actually amazing. Not only does it block the pull spot, but it also blocks this hard camp up to the left, this main hard camp here, which is generally, this isn't a spot that's necessary if the other team doesn't have a jungler. You can just place it anywhere normally. But in this case, with like something like a Chen or here with an Enigma, who is actually going to want to clear that camp, it's actually just going to block one more camp. And I mean, there's just no reason not to, basically. It makes it a little bit easier to counter ward if the enemy knows where it is, but it's just a solid spot anyway. But there's going to be some action top here. Gale is going to come out on the Windrunner. Windrunner is waiting to Windrun when she can, but the Fisher's going to come out and completely block her off. The stun does land, and Earthshaker doing some nice body blocking, and this is definitely a dead Windrunner. She is not making it out of here, and the first blood actually goes to the Sniper, which is going to be huge for him. He is going the passive build, one headshot, one in take aim, opting not to go for any points early on in Shrapnel. We'll have to see if he does end up picking that up for the damage it does to the tower and kind of the anti-push, or whether he just maxes the passives and then goes straight to stats.
So I was actually looking at the way that they executed that gank. So it looked like the Venom Master was going to take the kill, but because he was already right there and the Earthshaker actually had an amazing hero block, they decided to just feed the kill to the Sniper because they know that he needs the gold a lot more early on. So it was really a smart play on the Dire side.
Yeah, it's always, I mean, when I'm playing with friends or whatever, I'm always tell them, they'll complain when I'm playing a carry, or they'll apologize when I'm playing a carry and they take the kill. Normally I say, yeah, don't even worry about it. But in a situation like that, you're right. The Earthshaker done such an amazing body block and a good Fisher that there was really no way that Windrunner was getting out of there. She'd already used her ability. She's level 1. She has nothing else. So yeah, being able to make sure that that Sniper gets the last hit is going to be so nice. And he does have his Gloves of Attack now. Because if you look, actually, his I saw him miss at least a couple last hits. Yeah, he's actually only at 7 last hits. I mean, I know he was kind of busy killing early on, but I mean, 7 with 4 creep waves means that he's not even actually killing. Well, now he is at, yeah, no, still 7. So he actually hasn't even killed half the creeps that he's seen, which is not very good when you're in a free farm tri lane. So the Gloves of Attack, or Blades of Attack, should certainly help him boost his farm significantly, make it a little bit easier for him to last hit, although I still see him missing a lot. Maybe he's going to grab another one. Blades of Attack, interesting though, it means he's certainly going to go for phase boots. He actually picks up the boots now, instead of getting maybe one more blades, which I think might have been better. I don't know if he's having trouble last hitting still. But the kind of phase boots build on Sniper is actually something I don't know who else has done it, but I definitely know I've seen Complexity running this, basically where they get phase boots on Sniper and then get usually drums on him and just kind of really max the movement speed. So he gets pretty fast attack speed from the drums anyway. He doesn't get the attack speed that he'd normally have from treads, but it doesn't matter so much because he has a lot of mobility and it allows him to position himself really effectively, which is kind of a problem with Sniper normally.
So I'm watching this mid lane. That ward that they place is actually amazing, doing amazing things, and they even have added a sentry there for protection of that ward. So they actually see what this Pugna is doing at all times. The other thing is that this bottom lane, it seems like this Broodmother has the upper hand because of how much damage he's actually doing, but not much else is going on. The Enigma is still jungling. He's not going to be ganking for a while, but I can see why they actually decided to do the dual lane mid and have the bottom basically. It's because they want to protect this jungler a little bit more. So even though there's a ward here, it'll expire eventually, and he'll be able to basically be invisible on the map because of the Fog of War. And it looks like they're actually going on this Pugna as well. Pugna actually juking, but there's no ruin to it, but he's going to get away anyway.
Yeah, but now the Radiant Heroes are actually going to be in a little bit of trouble. Oh, I thought the Earthshaker and Venom would go, but actually the Enigma's here as well, so it is going to be a 3-on-3 situation. And with the Pugnet caught off to the right, I guess they just decided that that's not in their favor. Earthshaker Fisher is going to come out, but there's really no way for him to get a good block on anyone there, so it just kind of does a little harassment damage, and then basically everyone's going to back up. But yeah, this Venom or this Brood is definitely having a very easy time. Although she certainly should against a Mirana. Mirana really not well suited to go solo lane against a Brood. And Brood's just got a ton of creeps down. So actually, we do have this Crystal Maiden rotating down bottom. Actually eats a tree on the way. I thought she might have been trying to do something with the ward. So he's going to try to provide some support, but until she has sentries, are there sentries on the Enigma? There's one sentry on the Enigma and this courier flying, which is actually boots, not sentries. So with this sentry, they're actually going to try to get a kill in this Brood here. Unfortunately, they're overlapping the stuns quite a bit, but it's still going to be just enough burst damage to easily take her out. Brood trying to just understanding that she's dead and trying to counter, get a kill on the Mirana. Actually getting close with the Spiderlings here, but just barely not going to be enough. Enigma converts one last one just to make sure. And meanwhile, though, the Windrunner actually goes down top. I didn't see what happened. Did you see that, Gino?
It looked like a stun, and then the shrapnel actually coming in there. I actually didn't. I only caught the end of that one as well.
Yeah, I mean, just basically what I thought would happen. With once the Venomancer has level 2 at least, it's so hard for the Windrunner to come anywhere near lane because it's just so much slow. And the Sniper is actually already level 6. Which is very good because he already has that Assassinate, which is going to mean if the Windrunner even tries to come towards the lane now, she's going to have a ton of trouble. She's going to basically get harassed out of the lane with Assassinate spam. Unfortunately, it's going to cost him a lot of mana, but shouldn't matter too much. And actually just saw him, yep, just finished up that Bracer, so he is going to be going for the drums build, I would say with 100% certainty. So I wonder if there's some other people doing this that he's seen it, or if they did steal this one from Complexity. I don't know. I mean, have you seen this build before?
I know they've probably scrimmed against Complexity, but I've actually never observed any of their scrimmages or anything like that. So, okay, we have a pause coming out. So I'm going to look at the creep stats now. So we have the 24 creep kills on this Mirana, while there's 28, so not that big of a difference in farm, but this Leshrac is actually doing really well in his last hitting.
Yeah, well, with the way the lanes were set up from the Radiant, which I really don't, I don't know, I haven't ended up liking so much, although, I don't know, it was kind of just really good picks from the Dire to put the Radiant in a position where they couldn't make good setups, because, yeah, so they have the solo in their own lane, which they're actually losing, and, like, that's never a good thing. Typically speaking, when you have a solo in your safe lane against a solo from the opposing team, you should certainly be winning that lane. But because it's against a Brood, it's really difficult for her to win. Then the Windrunner's obviously losing top. I mean, it does have level 4 now, which isn't too bad, but it's not in any sort of good situation. So the only lane that they're actually having much success with is just going to be this Leshrac in mid, which, thanks to that nice ward placement that you were talking about, they have had a lot of success here. So the Leshrac has kind of made up for it, along with the fact that they do have a jungler who is level 5 now. It's going to be really important for him to get up that level 6 so he can get the black hole and hopefully use that to set up more than one gank. And especially since they've just actually left his Brood alone bottom, the Mirana actually had to run back to base because of how low she was. Brood just took the tower. That's really, I don't know, kind of poor coordination. You can't just leave the Brood down there to take a tower at 7 minutes. It's way too early to just be giving up a free tower when you're not getting anything in return. Hopefully they will get a gank out of this mid. Yeah, the Pugnet is going to be up enough, and yeah, the stun's going to come out. This Pugnet is definitely dead. There's no way he's making it out of this alive. We'll see if there are any TPs coming in. No, there aren't. They're just going to sacrifice him. So that is going to be a trade, I guess, for the tower, but it's still not necessarily worth it. One kill for the tower, especially when you had to use smoke for it. And it looks like the Dire might try to set up a kill on this Windrunner here, but she's doing a really good job playing passive, just using Power Shot to last hit. And meanwhile, the Radiant is going to push in this mid-tier 1 tower here, so maybe if they get this tower trade, actually it will have ended up working out. Edict is going to be up in 1 second. Leshrac positioning himself so the Edict is just going to hit the tower and avoid the creeps, and yeah, that is going to be a trade. Meanwhile, though, it looks like the Dire is going to rotate up towards top. Venomancer only 2 levels in the ward still, so not going to be super strong in the push, but pretty effective. And yeah, actually Max take aim on the Sniper, so he can actually just right-click the tower from outside of the tower range. Stun coming up on the Windrunner, they're thinking about going for, but they realize they can't, and they're just going to stay here and right-click the tower a bit more instead. Rotation is going to come from the Dire, though, or from the Radiant. Enigma still not quite level 6, though. So not going to be able to do the Black Hole. We'll still have a not insignificant stun with level 2 Malefice, obviously opting to max conversions over Malefice. Windrunner does have 1 point in the Shackle, maybe looking to set something up with that, which they'll run in. The nice lane ward from the Dire here, though, is going to spot all the Radiant coming up here. And so they're basically just going to back off, and meanwhile the Brood is actually going to try to chase down this Mirana bottom, but I don't think... is she going to dive using the spiders? She is going to dive using the spiders, but I don't think this is going to get her in range. She actually is just barely going to be in range, and that's going to be a kill on the Mirana. So nice job by the Brood there, deciding that she could dive. The tower's going to do a lot of damage to her, but she'll be fine once she gets in the web and starts running. Yeah, the last tower hit will miss. She has a salve anyway, so she's going to heal up quite quickly. So yeah, this is the problem with when the Radiant rotated 4 up there like that. Basically, they're just taking pressure in all their other lanes. The Brood's getting a kill bottom, and this Pug just pushing in mid. Pugna actually has opted for 1 point in the ult. Generally speaking, I think the optimal Pugna build we consider is to max Nether Blast, take 1 point, Decrepify at level 2, and max Nether Ward. And usually you don't worry about getting Life Drain until levels 10 and 11, but I guess some people do opt just to get the Life Drain, just to have that extra option, because he's such a squishy hero. Maybe the Life Drain can really save your life. Maybe more importantly than the 1 more point in wards, but I don't know. I mean, ward is basically the reason you pick up Pugna. Whenever you pick this hero, you're doing it because of his ward.
Yeah, the ward is basically a 6th hero, kind of, because of the way that the ward works. Like, it's actually casting and draining mana on its own. And actually, this bottom is getting, or the Mirana is getting dominated. I thought they were going to try to make a lane switch here with a Leshrac, or maybe add the CM, but it didn't look like it was going to happen. But it looked... Oh, looking at the forest, we actually see 4 heroes out here. I think that's...
Yeah.
Spiderling saw one of them.
Oh, they should see him. They should see him. They could go. Do they have dust? They do have dust. The stun's going to come out, and he's probably going to die. He might be able to turn around and get a kill with these Spiderlings, but no, the Leshrac already has 1 point in Pulse Nova, so smart pickup by the Leshrac there, actually. A little bit unusual to pick it up that early, but when you're against the Broodmother, knowing that you're going to have all those Spiderlings that you can kill, and they're just giving him a ton of gold, actually, is a pretty smart move.
Yeah, it's actually really nice, especially since you went Edict instead of the Lightning, so that Pulse Nova actually paying off there.
Yeah, and another nice smoke gank. So, I mean, the Radiant has made effective use of smoke, but unfortunately they're still down 2,000 gold just because the Dire basically had better lanes. Although now this Enigma is level 6, so they do have that black hole that the Dire has to worry about. And maybe they can use that to put a little more pressure on one tower. The problem is that there's just no one really they can pressure at this point. The Brood is constantly going to keep the bottom lane pushed out. Even after she gets ganked, it doesn't matter because she always has the wave basically pushing the towers. You know, she pushes the wave to the tower, then she goes to the jungle. If you kill her in the jungle, it doesn't matter because the wave's still pushed. Meanwhile, the Dire keeps keeping 3 up top here protecting the sniper, which is just going to make it so difficult for the Radiant to actually set anything up there, except because of the black hole. But thanks to that nice venom... Oh, Shackle Shot, not quite latching. Crystal Maiden throws out the Nova, but it's not going to hit anyone in this really, I don't know, metagamey sniper build with the phase boots and the drums. Gives him easily enough to get out of there in time. And yeah, so this just kind of lets them keep pressuring using the sniper top and easily run away if they have to. I mean, they've got the Venomancer wards thrown off to the side for vision. They've got the Earthshaker who can Fisher in response to really make it difficult for the other team to actually initiate effectively. And then they've got the sniper who can run like the devil.
And it looks like we have a heavy smoking Radiant team here. They're going to go try for the Broodmother again, but those Spiderlings will come in. They're actually blowing a dust there just in case, but Broodmother is way back, and that Pulse Nova just destroying those Spiderlings and creeps.
Yeah, well, the Dire or the Radiant definitely knows what they're doing in the regard of what they did there. I mean, what you do is you smoke up. When you're trying to get to Brood, you have dust on you, and as soon as the smoke wears off, or as soon as the smoke comes off you, you dust immediately, because that means the Broodmother is somewhere nearby. Unfortunately, the Broodmother is well positioned using her spiders in front of her, so even though they dusted her, she was just a little bit too far off, and she had vision of them, that there was no way they could initiate effectively on her, and she was just able to back up and use the spiders as a shield. So unfortunately, a wasted smoke and a wasted dust. Kind of a little bit unfortunate, but at the same time, paying this much attention to the Brood is going to make her life a little bit more difficult, make it that much more difficult for her. I mean, she doesn't even have treads yet. I mean, she had a very easy lane. Her CS, 65, which is 3rd highest in the game, 2nd highest on her team, which is certainly not too bad. Gold per minute, sitting at 380, which is really nice gold per minute. But still doesn't even have her treads up yet. Just Basilius, Soul Ring, and regular boots. So, wait, actually, no, the courier's flying out. So that's... Oh dear. That would explain where all the extra gold is. Boots of Travel. I don't know what to say. really unusual because generally speaking, as a brood, your job is just to sit in one lane the entire game, or one lane in the jungle, and you constantly keep that lane pushed up so that the Radiant in this case cannot really go anywhere else. Because if they go anywhere else for too long, if they commit too much time to going to gank or fight top, you push the lane, you take the tower, you might even go into their base, whatever. And then if they come and defend this, you just move into the jungle and farm there. So I don't know what Boots of Travel exactly let you do. I mean, they let you come make sure you can go fight with your team, but as a brood, you're not really ever fighting with your team until you have BKB anyway. And getting those Boots of Travel is just going to delay your BKB that much more. So I don't know. It's a little bit weird. I mean, this is probably something they practiced before, I would assume. So there should be some method to the madness, but I'm not really sure what it is. Because the other problem is when you TP somewhere else, you're not going to have your web set up. And brood really, I mean, one of her biggest strengths, at least, is the ability to move so fast and visible and get regen in the web. So, I mean, teleporting somewhere else anyway isn't going to do too much for you. Like I said, until you have that BKB, so you can, teleport in, ult, and BKB.
I'm thinking that they're going to try to split push using this brood mother. Oh my god, I think we have another lag spike. Anyway, so yeah, I think they're going to use that boost of travel. So it's going to be kind of like how you play Tinker, as like a pseudo Tinker kind of play where you teleport everywhere and you kind of split push. But it doesn't make sense right now, but I think it will as this game progresses, because it's going to make it easier for Broodmother to not only farm BKB, but to farm maybe 3 or 4 big items at once as well.
Yeah, it's a possibility. And meanwhile, the Radiant is actually going to push up top, though, which is what I was talking about, though. The Brood now is going to pressure their tower. If the Radiant spend too much time up here on the top, they're going to be in a lot of trouble because they're just going to lose a tier 2 tower for nothing. They're really going to have to make this pay off by getting a kill here. But the Dire playing really smart, just backing up, nice Venomancer wards for vision, and they're just not going to let the Radiant get a good opening. The Earthshaker for the Fisher will stop any nonsense before it happens, and yeah, I don't know. I don't think the Radiant has a lot to gain from a push like this. When you're playing against Brood, it just doesn't work yet, and now the TP's already coming back here, so they've basically just wasted all that time. And although the Leshrac is going to try to pulse Nova down these creeps, the Brood is actually just going to try to turn on him. Leshrac just barely going to get out of there or survive, and actually gets a ton of gold for it, so it works. But chain TPs actually, so that if the Dire is smart here, yeah, they could have tried to catch someone. Surprised to see that the sniper didn't actually pop a drum charge and maybe try to go catch with the Earthshaker Fisher. Generally, if your Brood can see all those TPs coming bottom, that means that they're leaving top, and that should allow an opening to catch someone. But I guess the Radiant did a good job backing up in time. I mean, it was Mirana and Windrunner, both escape mechanism heavy heroes, so.
Alright, so this Broodmother is farming. She's got her Ogre Club bot, and it looks like this Enigma is just going to try to farm this as best as he can, but the danger is that the Broodmother can just spawn at any time and just hit him so that he'll go back. But it looks like this Mirana is also being engaged as well by this Earthshaker and the Pugna, but it looks like they're going to both back off.
Wow, a lot of lag spikes coming out. It keeps happening. The servers today have been
Yeah.
pretty, it's unfortunate. But again, this is still a game that's in the beta, so I mean, all of us who are playing appreciate Valve for letting us play their game before it was even done. And so I guess beggars can't be choosers, really. Meanwhile, though, the sniper has basically just been doing a slight impersonation of the Brood himself. He's just been sitting in this top lane the entire game, has not left it once, and just keeps kind of applying pressure and farming up here. Has his Yasha done, so he's getting close to his Manta. Well, not close, but halfway to his Manta. Meanwhile, the Brood and the Pugna and the Earthshaker are going to go on this Mirana, and Mirana is going to go down to the Nether Blast. Nice job catching the Mirana out there. Definitely a tricky hero to actually catch, but it worked. Meanwhile, though, the Radiant is pushing in this bottom tier 1 tower. They're going to have to take this tower. Oh, wow, they get denied, and they're going to be in a bad position now as the 3 heroes rotate back towards them. Pulse Nova does come out from the Leshrac. Leshrac not going to hit the stun, though. And meanwhile, the Nether Blast is going to do a lot of damage to the Enigma. Enigma tries to come in for a black hole, but just takes a spawn spiraling charge to the face. And we've got another huge lag spike. And when it's over, Leshrac is dead. Right.
Yeah, it's just really unfortunate. Even though we can throw $30,000 tournaments, the problem is that we have technology as our engine in esports, so these things kind of happen. But now it looks like the Dire team is actually going to push this and possibly get that tier 2 tower. There's not many heroes alive for the Radiant team. The Crystal Maiden doesn't have her ult yet, but she doesn't get it till later anyway. She does have a Dust though, but I don't think these guys can actually fend off a bunch of heroes on the Dire team.
Yeah, we're going to see. They do have a pretty good nuking ability, and the Enigma does still have his black hole up with level 4 in Malphus now, so yeah, the Dire doesn't want to basically give an opening. No reason to overcommit, just back off, play it safe rather than sorry, and continue to just have your sniper free farming top, which they're assuming will take over the game at some point once he gets, all the items they want him to have. Yeah, the Brood, 2 parts of the BKB now, just needs to buy the Mithril Hammer, and we'll have that done. The one problem is the Radiant did a really good job using a lot of smokes early on, and I mean, effective smoke use being active with smokes is a really good trait for a team. The problem is, you certainly at a certain point, you hit a, oh my god, I'm just not speaking well. At a certain point, you hit a point where you don't have any smokes left, and there's not a lot you can do because you created all these openings by using smoke, but if you don't have any smokes because of the cooldown on them, obviously, then you kind of hit a wall, which is kind of a little bit what's happening now. They're trying to set up ganks, but instead they're actually just getting ganked themselves, like this Windrunner mid who is probably going to go down. Nope, actually support going to come back in. And actually, they might be able to turn this. Wow, that shackle shot not hitting anything. Unfortunately, not maybe the best shackle shot, and another lag spike, but the Earthshaker does go down, and meanwhile the Brood is still just pressuring bottom. I want to take a look at the items because I saw actually something picked up that... Oh yeah, so the Leshrac does have... he's gotten actually pretty good farm from killing off all his spider limbs all those times. So he does have point booster, vitality booster, and obviously the energy booster on his arcane boots, which he'll go disassemble once he gets basically 700 more gold or so that he can buy up the Perseverance and finish his Bloodstone. Bloodstone, pretty good pickup here first. I mean, this is a pretty typical build from Leshrac. Sometimes you might expect to see Crystal Maiden doing a good job there, but actually it's probably going to... Oh, shackle shot's still not launching, wow. I'm sure she's not happy about that, but just going to back off. Did take the Tier 2 tower. Unfortunately, they lost the Tier 2 tower top. It's unfortunate the Mirana wasn't there in time. Probably could have maybe forced the sniper back. Obviously, sniper not very good one-on-one when a hero has a lot of mobility like Mirana does, because she can come and get in his face. He really requires on keeping distance from the enemy. But yeah, so as I was saying with the Leshrac, pretty normal build. Sometimes you would expect to see maybe him just get the point, like arcane boots, point booster, get the BKB, and then finish off the Bloodstone afterwards because of how important getting BKB on Leshrac is. But against this team, he figures that he'll be fine. He just wants to make sure he gets that Bloodstone up as quickly as possible. Because it's going to be really important for him. Start building up those charges, help healing his team if he dies. And the Brood has finished the BKB, so I mean that's the big item that's so important for her to have. But I'd still like to point out that she has yet to use these Boots of Travel once, which, I mean, I guess, Boots of Travel never stop being effective. Like, it'll help her out later in the game, whatever, but I don't know. I feel like it wasn't really, I don't know, it's not that necessary to pick up Boots of Travel if you're not going to use them at all.
Yeah, you would think that she would pick up Shreds or something else, but it looked like that wasn't the case because, like you said, she wasn't even going to use it. But she is putting a lot of pressure on this Tier 2 tower. There's only a Windrunner here so far. I'm actually checking the items of every single hero on the Radiant team. And only... Oh, okay. So 2 of them have a TP scroll, just in case they need to go... they need to teleport back to that tower. But it's just a lot of relentless pressure coming from that Broodmother. And the thing is, she's also farming every single moment. But it looks like the Radiant team's going to catch this, and they're going to try to hunt her down. Dust goes down. Looks like a lot of stuns, disables, and everything going down. That Broodmother is going to die.
She could have actually BKB'd there.
Yeah.
The first Malphus stun, and then the Crystal Maiden hit her with a Frostbite, but she could have actually even BKB'd at that point in between this first and second Malphus stun. It would have taken her out of Frostbite and obviously removed the dust as well. So, I mean, I'm wondering, I guess she just, I don't know, didn't react in time. I know, personally, it's always a little bit tough. Like, when you first buy the item, before you've used it once, you're like, oh yeah, I have a BKB now. So it can kind of be a little bit more difficult to initialize that in your mind and maybe not react quite quickly enough. But...
Yeah, it happens. It's just a little unfortunate that she didn't get to react in time. I thought the ward kind of saw that. Their AL placed ward up there, but
yeah.
I thought, but it probably didn't.
No, I think that's been there long enough. That would have had to see them, and they weren't smoked up. So I guess she, I don't know, just wasn't paying enough attention there. It happens from time to time, But anyway, the sniper does have his Manta done as well. Speaking of items, so that's a big pickup for him. Let's take a look at what his gold per minute is. I mean, he's just been farming there all game. Yeah, 467, highest gold per minute in the game. Actually, his gold per minute is almost, I mean, is higher than some of the two of the Radiant combined. So, I mean, yeah, he's farmed exceedingly well up there. Basically sat in the top of the entire lane. And like you said, they've done a very effective split push here, just constantly keeping the sniper up top, applying pressure top. You saw that when the Radiant came bottom and was fighting bottom, that the sniper just took the top tower, even though the Radiant was able to take the bottom tower. And then whenever they come top to try to address the sniper, the Brood's pushing. So it's just a really frustrating thing to deal with. And because of all this movement speed on the sniper, it makes him so difficult to gank. So it's really, it's been smart. Really, like, just, not, I wouldn't say passive, but patient play. Ooh, and actually, I missed a kill in the mid. Plugin does go down. You see what happened there?
Actually, it wasn't, because this Broodmother is
Oh.
actually engaging the Windrunner as we speak. A TP coming in from the Enigma and Orange, but Brood will be forced back.
Yeah, see, they have dust on the Enigma. The web is going to spot. I think the web was probably what saw. If not, I mean, she's actually placed a web on top of the tower, which is always very smart. First of all, I mean, it's good because when you're actually at the tower, your spiderlings are going to get a little bit of extra regen, help them tank the tower a little bit more. But it's also nice because it can kind of give you vision of TP's in if it's in the right spot. Obviously, webs only give a marginal amount of vision, but sometimes it can still be enough, and potentially that was what gave vision there. And actually, also speaking of items, Earthshaker, if you just... Oh, he would have gotten the last hit there, but he actually messed up the last hit because of the lag spike, unfortunately. But he does have basically enough for his blink now. I don't... he's running over to the side shop now. I don't think he has anything worth selling. Is he can sell... Oh, I don't sell a smoke. Oh, I was afraid that's what he was going to do. Should never ever sell a smoke. You're just raping that cooldown. I shouldn't say raping. I think some people get upset about that. I don't remember. Anyway, he's destroying the cooldown. Don't sell smokes. Just don't. It's a 10-minute cooldown. Don't sell it. But yeah, did do it. So yeah, I mean, obviously people will say, well, he picked up his blink, it was worth it. But he could have just gone. Oh, first of all, maybe just sold the TP. Although that's not good either, because you should always have a TP. But I mean, he could have just waited a little bit. I guess they figure, well, he has the blink now, he can go initiate. And actually, he has gone an interesting build. He's gone basically the Fisher stats build. He's only got 2 points in Aftershock, none in Enchant Totem. So he went 2 levels in stats early on, just to allow him to use Fishers more frequently. So he means he actually cannot really chain stun quite as effectively, but it gives him more survivability and more spammability, which is good. It looks like they're going to try to pressure this tower here. This ward is just going to be such a nuisance for any attempts at defense. Oh, great shackle shot though, off the illusion, latching the sniper. Maybe a lag spike there because he's saying, no. Or I guess he's maybe just face-palming at the fact that he let himself get shackle shotted on his own Manta illusions. And he does have another ultimate orb up, so... Oh. Nice assassination. Earthshaker gonna blink in, gets a big epicenter, or not epicenter, Echo Slam, but Enigma blinking back in and getting a nice black hole. So far we've got actually 3 down from the Dire, 4 down from the Dire. So, wow, great black hole from the Enigma, able to pick off 4. Meanwhile, the Brood is gonna push this bottom tier 2 tower, probably gonna take it down. I don't see any way that the Radiant's gonna be able to defend this. Even if they TP now, he can just BKB up and finish off this tower. So they are gonna lose a tower for it, but a really nice fight for the Radiant there. The epicenter... God, the Echo Slam, there's just not enough games with Earthshaker in it. So much more frequently it's Sand King, so I'm just saying, oh, Epicenter, but the Echo Slam was nicely positioned, did hit 3 heroes, was able to get the stun there, but unfortunately because he only had 2 levels in Aftershock, the stun just didn't last quite as long, and just they didn't quite have enough push. It might have just been a little bit too aggressive from him to finish off that team fight there. And unfortunately the sniper, you know, that is the one nice thing about the Enigma against the sniper though, is the sniper's obviously very good if he can stay back, but in a situation like that where your teammate, the Earthshaker, runs in or blinks in and stuns the enemy team, you know, you kind of have to follow up. So that means you have to move up and start attacking. When you move up and start attacking, it puts you in position where you can get trapped by the black hole, which was exactly what happened there. Because normally the sniper can stay far enough back that, you know, if a black hole's going to come out, he can still attack the Enigma. But in that situation, because of the Earthshaker's move, it made it more difficult for the sniper, and the sniper ended up getting caught. Meanwhile, though, the Brood is going to go on the Mirana bottom, and Mirana is definitely going to die. She could pop her ult, actually, if she wants to live, but otherwise she is definitely dead. Oh my, wow, okay, I stand corrected. 10 HP. The Brood could have actually gotten one more hit off and would have been able to kill her, because she was not getting away. She was slowed, and it's max level slow, but Brood thought it would actually be enough to kill her with the Spawn Spiderlings, and just slightly miscalculated, which is easy to do because you're usually not looking exactly at numbers, you're kind of looking at health bars and just what you see. Meanwhile, a little bit of pressure being applied from this Leshrac and Enigma top. But doesn't really look like anything's going to come of it. Enigma, or Leshrac has finished up his Bloodstone. It has 11 charges on it now, actually, thanks to that really nice fight. So that's actually going to be really good for them. It's going to mean he's going to respawn really quickly, and obviously have a lot of mana regen in general. And then, yeah, the Ogre Club working towards that BKB. Let me see if there's any other big item pickups as well. The Mirana does have Manta almost finished. Like I was saying, the Sniper has another Ultimate Orb. If I had to guess off the top of my head, I would say that that's most likely going towards Scotty, but it's possible he's going to do that for Linken's. I don't see Linken's being very effective against the Dire here, or the Radiant here. And typically, if you go Linken's, you go it early on because of how nice the regen is for a hero that needs to spam. But in this case, he didn't go it early, so I've got to assume that's just going to be a Scotty.
I'm actually looking around here. So the warding that both teams are doing was actually really nice for pretty much the entire game. It's just that they haven't refilled or replaced any of those wards that are expiring. But that ward in the middle lane has done wonders for that Radiant team, because I think with that ward they actually saw the positioning of the entire Dire team, and they were able to capitalize on that with that delayed Enigma. It looked like a blink and black hole. So they caught everybody in there, and there was just no way that Dire could get out of that.
Yeah, that is definitely a well-placed ward. It's going to be running out soon here, and the Dire, yeah, getting just as you talk about, getting 2 more wards up to that middle ward themselves, and then 1 here to give vision, basically heading towards Roche. You've got to assume they want to steal that Roche at some point here. The Brood is actually going towards a Linken's, or not a Linken's, Orchid, and actually, wow, the Sniper just annihilating the Leshrac top. I should have said something, I'm sure Holy caught that. But yeah, Sniper just doing so much damage with those illusions. I should have said something, my bad. But hey, at least this gave you an opportunity to show off your sweet name. By the way, it's missing a C. I think there's a C before the H in Twitch. Meanwhile, Brood actually was going on the Windrunner bottom, but Windrunner did TP out in time, so didn't manage to die. And yeah, I was going to say, I would assume that the Dire is going to want to steal Roche at some point. I mean, it's 28 minutes in and you're playing as the Dire. You should really take advantage of the fact that the Dire is imbalanced and steal Roche at some point here. So they've got those 2 wards up, which will basically give them vision of anyone coming anywhere in their direction. I mean, because there's basically no path the Radiant can run to get to Roche that won't take them past one of those wards, unless obviously they smoke up, which is what they'll have to do. But still, I would expect to see that taken at some point here. I mean, you've got Venomancer who can start placing down the wards in there, and then obviously Brood can just use her ult, which at this point it's not like it's a real ult cooldown. It's 30-second cooldown, can easily tank Roche. You don't even actually need the Sniper to come there, really. You can have the Sniper keep applying pressure top, so I would like to see them come do that sometime soon here. They can do it so quickly, too, that, I mean, it would just be well worth it. But, yeah, we'll see.
That Sniper has been farming for the last, I want to say, 10, 15 minutes now. So he's up at 2,800 gold. He's got an Ultimate Orb, a Manta Style, a Drum of Endurance, and his ring and phase boots, but he's getting up there in his farm. Now, it seems a little stagnant the way this game is going, because they're just trying to fight for position. And the Mirana, she left, but probably just for those creeps.
Yeah, and leapt to go get assassinated. But yeah, this really has been definitely a positional game. Now you can see basically the classic positional play too, which is the Venomancer constantly keeping these wards up in mid. This lane is always pushed. And then, yeah, the Sniper will rotate back top. Actually, he's going to pick up a haste, so maybe he'll look to go on someone here with this. Obviously, he's still quite an easy target for the enemy without having a BKB or anything like that, so haste isn't super effective, but yeah, he's just going to go right-click heroes, knowing that he can back up. And actually, the Pugna is going on this Crystal Maiden here. Brood going to come in from behind. Should actually probably be BKBing up so she doesn't get stunned, but well, is just going to get stunned anyway and not actually stay on top of the Windrunner. Although she wouldn't be able to do anything there anyway, most likely because of the Windrun. And the CM's just going to go down and both teams are going to back up. But now all 5 of the Dire are here, so there's really no excuse. Go take Roche. Just go do it. The Radiant does have a ward up, so they will actually see them going in. But I think with the help of the Venomancer and the Sniper here, they should be able to take this quickly enough. The arrow is going to fly in, does give vision, but unfortunately, well, actually the mid lane is pushed up, but they've got that nice ward there, so they would see them anyway, and they just don't feel, I guess, that they're in a position where they can go fight here. So, like I was saying, the Dire just need to take Roche, and they have. This will give Sniper a nice Aegis, which will make it a lot more easy for him to be a bit more aggressive in the next team fight.
They do lose a tower fort, which is actually quite smart for the Leshrac going up there, knowing that they cannot contest this Roche, just having to give it up. So might as well get a tower fort while you can. Not going to really be worth it in the long run, unfortunately, because, I mean, you're probably going to get that tower anyway. That's a tier 1 tower, it's pretty low, whereas Roche really can go to either team, so it's kind of a net gain for the Dire, especially given, obviously, the Aegis. And that is going to put, the Sniper very close. Actually, I think that is probably enough for his Scotty, because all he needs now is a, Point Booster and Orb of Venom, both which he can buy from the Secret Shop. So as soon as that orb, or that second Ultimate Orb gets here, he will have a Scotty up, which is going to be real nice for him. It's going to make it so annoying for any of the Radiant heroes to maneuver in a team fight. Getting constantly mini-stunned and being slow is going to make it really easy for him to beat on people.
I'm actually looking at everybody's items while you were speaking. Oh, how long has that Banta been on Mirana for? Or did
she almost had the Manta a while ago. She was at the Ultimate Orb and the Yasha with like 100 or something gold, maybe like, I would say 10 minutes ago or something like that. So yeah, I mean, she's already at 2,000 gold again.
Okay, and this Brood is just continuing to farm the hell out of this lane. The other thing is, yeah, it looks like the Sniper and the Brood are pretty much pressuring some of these lanes so hard. Well, now that Sniper is actually joining these team fights, it's going to make it a lot more difficult. Oh, arrow flying in, kills a creep. So that I have Scotty is going to do a be pretty big in some of these fights when he has to slow everybody down.
Yeah, and well, since he has the Aegis here too, he can afford to actually play up like this. Normally, with a Sniper, you need to be staying in the back of your team. Because he has the Aegis, he knows the opposing team is wary of going in on him, because if they do go in on him, the Earthshaker is going to counter-initiate with the Blink, which is going to make it very difficult for the Radiant to consider fighting here. Meanwhile, the Enigma is actually pretty close to his BKB, which he'd like. Again, with the Sniper, it's not going to be the most effective thing ever, but if you can catch the Sniper in it, obviously, then even though he has the Aegis, it doesn't really matter, because if you catch him and maybe 2 other heroes in it, you're going to turn the fight enough that by the time the Sniper comes back with the Aegis, it's just not going to have been as effective. And really nice placement by Pugnov the ward here, placing it in the woods like this. It's not easy for the Radiant to spot and kill. It's going to be really annoying for them if they fight here. Arrow actually flying is gonna... Oh! Should have hit the Pug. Just barely not. And actually nice deny on the tower from the Enigma. And then both teams are basically just going to back up. Brood still just pressuring this bottom lane. Brood, I think, has only used 1 charge for BKB. No, actually has not used the BKB at all, actually. It's still a 10-second BKB. So Brood likes to buy items and farms very well. Questionable on actually using the items. But I guess we'll see that. I mean, then again, saving your BKB charges, I guess when it hasn't been that necessary, it's just going to make you more effective fighting in the late game. Obviously, having that really long duration BKB still is such a big difference. And then you have a ton of items.
I like this play coming out here from Dire. So they forced the Radiant inside their base, so if Radiant decides to stack one side and try to kill one of these heroes, the other side will just push in, and it's actually really smart. I've seen this done by Melk from EG, MYM, whichever team you decide to associate him with. Like, he's done this push so many times, except that there hasn't been a hero to rotate top, because that lane hasn't really been pushing. Because the Sniper has been up there, but the lane just really hasn't pushed, so there's no reason to put one hero up there. But they're forced inside their base, and they know exactly what's going to happen. So that tower does go down, and it's just another opening for that Sniper to walk in here with his Aegis.
Yeah, and the action is going to come. Earthshaker Fisher actually not going to hit anything. Sniper is going to go down, but that's exactly what the Dire wanted, since he has the Aegis anyway. Although it hasn't actually presented them... Enigma comes in to try to get the Black Hole. Does catch the Sniper, which is the most important thing. Shackle Shot not going to latch to anything. Brute coming in, finally BKB and ult up. Venomancer does pop, but the ult pops out. And speaking of popping, huge Echo Slam from the Earthshaker, catching 2. Meanwhile, the Leshrac is in the back end, trying to pick off the Sniper, but doesn't manage to. And that's 3 down for the Radiant. Are there buybacks? Oh... No Leshrac does have a buyback. Mirana, you better have a buyback. She does not. She actually bought the Demon Edge. Oh, that's terrible. Well, I think they might only get 1 set of racks here, so it's not the end of the world. But as a general rule of thumb, at this point in the game, it's for... Well, I mean, if you consider the... Ooh, Shackle Shot. Oh, it does latch too. Possibility of going here. Let's see. They're going to try to take down the Pugnet. Assassinate going to come out, though, which really scares the women on her back. And unfortunately, her team just wasn't fast enough to respond, since the Mirana wasn't up there with the leap and everything. And Brood is actually going to come in from behind. Might consider going here. Wow. Leshrac taking a lot of damage from that ward plus the sniper from long range. Brood actually doesn't end up accomplishing anything, so heads back bottom. Maybe should have been pushing in here the entire time, but it didn't really matter too much. But yeah, well, as I was saying, something about some here. I can't even remember what I was going to say now, actually.
Oh.
What I was talking about.
I was waiting for you to actually remember it for a second, but Brood's farmed up her buyback money. So in case she ever dies, she can just use her boots of travel to actually teleport there and just rack everybody again.
Yeah.
But I liked the way that Dire actually executed some of this. They forced the initiation out, so they got the Aegis killed, and then they decided to just have the Broodmother run around the other side. But now it's just a Dire team looking for an opening to end the game.
Yeah, pretty much. I do remember what I wanted to say, though. It was about buybacks. You reminded me, thankfully. Oh, Brood actually goes for a Radiance. So deciding not to save buyback money, which is basically what I was going to rail against. At this point in the game, from basically 30 or 35 minutes on, especially if the other opposing team is constantly pressuring your lanes, you always need to save buyback money. Now, the only instance in which you don't is, all right, so you consider the fact that you're behind in the game, you need a big item pickup to kind of get back in it. So you can finish an item. Ooh, is the Venomancer going to get out here? Oh, nice blink up from the Enigma is actually going to catch the Venomancer here, but really not the most important thing ever. Speaking of Milk, who you talked about earlier, if he's taught us anything, it's perfectly fine to die 20 times in a Venomancer and you can still win the game. But yeah, so it's okay kind of to finish an item, to get a big item pickup like a Hex or something like that, instead of saving buyback money. But you should absolutely never, at this point in the game, buy half of an item and forsake your buyback money, which is exactly what the Mirana did, buying just the Demon Edge, which, I mean, I understand she only has Manta, she wants some sort of damage, but just, I don't know. Her damage is still going to be relatively significant enough, and if you can't buy back, you're just going to, I mean, allow situations like that where when they're pressuring you, they can just, if they win one fight, they can just win the game. I mean, fortunately, Leshrac did have the buyback, so it wasn't a complete game ender, basically. If Leshrac hadn't had the buyback, they probably would have gone and taken bottom racks as well. So he kind of saved them there, but you really just got to be more careful about that at this point in the game.
So it looks like the Radiant pretty much has to push this. There's really no real carry on their team anyway. So it's a pretty, like, it's already past the point where, like, some of these hard carries are actually starting to farm up, and there's just nothing that they can really do unless they get a bunch of really well executed team fights where they're cleaning everything up. But it doesn't seem possible because of how stacked the Dire team is.
Yeah, at this point with a 10,000 gold lead for the Dire with, I mean, Brood not necessarily considered a hard carry, but definitely at least a semi-carry, and Sniper, absolutely a hard carry, and with the amount of farm he has, actually picking up the Helm of the Dominator as well. That's a little bit interesting. I mean, I don't know if it really needs the lifesteal. Generally speaking, he should be positioned far enough back. The lifesteal's not that important. You know, a large portion of his damage comes from the headshots anyway, which aren't obviously going to lifesteal for you. So, I don't know. I mean, but he knows better than I do. He's actually the one winning the game, not me. So yeah, he's going to be doing plenty of damage, and the Radiant, just don't really have anything to compete with that, other than a really nice AoE combo with the Black Hole Leshrac. But unless they can set that up, I don't know. And meanwhile, though, the Windrunner is actually getting caught out top. We'll see if she's actually able to make it out of here alive. She does mech up, and she's just going to TP. No enchant totem for 1 second. A little life spike there. So smart move, just knowing that all the stuns are out from the Earthshaker, so you can't TP. Actually, the Earthshaker used his Echo Slam there, I guess. Not at the end there, but actually in the beginning when they initiated on the Windrunner. So that will be down for this fight. Although, honestly, I'm not so sure that it really matters too much at this point. Again, like you were talking about, just the carries, and now they can do what is really what you were talking about with the best way of doing this. When you already have one lane, ooh, arrow hits, but there's not going to be anything to come with it. When you already have one lane with the racks dead, you basically, you just split push you've already got the mid, so you just split push the bot and the top. By having your Brood sitting down here pushing in this lane, and then your other heroes all pushing up top, and there's just really no way whatsoever the Radiant can defend this. There's no actual solution to it. The Brood will just keep pressuring this lane. The only real way you could potentially do something positive here is if you get a really fast Black Hole combo and able to wipe out the Radiant top, which is actually what they're going to go for, but the Black Hole's just going to catch the Sniper. Sniper will die, but it's just not really going to matter. Brood is going to push in the bottom meanwhile, and actually the Pugna is going to go down as well. So, I mean, not a terrible engagement for the Radiant here. And actually the TPs are going to come. Brood can actually just BKB and finish this tower, which is exactly what she's going to do. BKB is up, and actually she's going to have to TP out. And the tower does live. So, well, I guess it is possible to defend this. It was just done. I thought the Brood would be able to push it a little bit faster, and I thought there would be some... I guess Dire have invested so much into the farm of the Sniper. I mean, if you take a look at the Pugna, who's normally a very well-farmed hero, he does have 3,500 gold, so obviously respecting the buyback rule. But all he has really is a BKB. I mean, he technically has enough to finish his sheep right now, his Hex, but not necessarily getting as much farm. So they've invested so much into the Sniper that when the Sniper gets killed in the beginning, they just don't want to risk fighting. Typically, though, what you would do there is you would fight anyway. You'd basically do as much as you can to fight, because the longer you're fighting, even if you have 1 or 2 more deaths, it's going to allow the Brood more and more time to push in that bottom. And since all the lanes are pushed, there's not really a huge loss to even having 1 or 2 more deaths in a team fight, because kills are good, but in order to have kills really matter, you have to be able to do something with them afterwards. And since the opposing team can't actually push anywhere after they get the kills there, Brood would have been a lot more time, but the Brood is actually going to go down here. She does not have her BKB up, so there's no way she's getting out of this. So a nice pickoff for the Radiant here, and actually Brood, no, she does have buyback money and those travels, so if there's any fighting here for Roche, she will easily be able to TP in to the nearest creep wave and actually just immediately buys back. And they're going to fight over this Roche here, but there's, I don't know, Dire advantage. Dire has great wards up, actually kind of overlapping wards a little bit. Oh, but that one's about to wear out, so yeah, makes sense. And actually Brood is going to TP top and go pressure that. Which is going to force the Radiant back. There's no way they can allow the top to die. If they run into this Roche, it would be a huge mistake. We've got to see the Brood up there by now. They've got to know that they've got to head back to their base. They've lost the tower already. They're going to have to go defend. And the Dire is just going to take Roche, obviously.
So it looks like they're kind of confused because they do have TP scrolls on each of these heroes, but they're trying to see if they can get a positioning on that Roche, but at the same time, the top is just wide open until... the Brood is actually engaging the Mirana. She's silenced, and that's going to be it. So they do decide to TP back. The Roche is going to go down, and that's going to be it. They had to actually defend that. They have to absolutely defend that, or they were just going to lose those Raxes.
Yep. Yeah, it's so frustrating a situation to be in, to know the opposing team is doing Roche, and to know that there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. They kind of wanted to hope against hope by kind of posturing there for a little while and maybe just praying that they would be somewhere. The Spiderling's actually doing a lot of damage to this the barracks here. Although, is this back? No, backdoor protection is not up, so it's just normal regen that Spiderling. How have they not know? All right, finally. Killing these. He places down the sentry, although not to kill the Spiderlings, but just for the next time the Brood tries running in. But yeah, anyway, they were kind of just hoping that there was something they could do, that maybe they'd be able to get a really fast kill on Roche, or kill on the people at Roche, but they knew it wouldn't be the case. There's no way the Dire would open themselves up to that, and so yeah, they had to be back to defend against Brood, and then that led to a Roche kill, which is going to lead to the exact same thing as before, except this time the Brood is on top, and the 4 heroes from the Dire are going to be on bottom. And this is going to be even more preferable because if they fight the Dire at bottom, there's no way the Brood will not take a melee Rax. And it doesn't really matter. I mean, if the Radiant could wipe 4 heroes bottom without losing a hero, as long as the Brood takes that top Rax, it's pretty much GG. Just 2 Rax down without having the hard carries, there's really no way they can come back.
So now that these Raxes are essentially naked, it's just a matter of time before someone decides to push in, and it looks like that time might be now. The arrow going down on that Sniper. The Sniper, actually, he's living through this. Oh my, wow. He actually lived through that. The Aegis is going to pop back up for him. And actually, the Venomancer kills off the Mirana. Sniper kills off the Crystal Maiden as well. The Leshrax should be going down, and it's going to be Raxes for sure, but the Black Hole from the Enigma coming in, all those heroes actually walk into that, but he's going to go down as well.
Yeah, I was actually watching. The Sniper was attacking there, and I didn't see the Black Hole get stopped. Maybe it just wasn't a mini-stun, or maybe it's not possible through BKB. I'm not 100% certain now. I thought that since it's physical ability that it would, but yeah, that was GG anyway. No, Sniper actually does manage to pick up an ultra kill for his troubles. And, oh, excuse me. That is game, so, oh man, my throat. Anyway, that's the game. Well played by both teams. I mean, 17-17, obviously pretty close game, but just really smart positioning play from the Dire this entire game. Nice picks, nice sniper pick, actually worked out very well, and they were able to pull this one out. So, yeah, it's been a fun game to watch, fun game to cast. Gino, thanks for joining me.
For sure, and actually, Skill Difference is going to be facing Pain Gaming from Brazil, so that's going to be the final.
All right, yeah, Brazil it is then. Brazil versus the North American team. We'll have to see North America versus South America, who can take this one down in the finals and get the chance to compete in the $20,000 Prodota2 League. So everyone, thanks for watching, and we will be back shortly with the finals.